Hello everyone, my name is Karandeep Singh. I am a student of UCW University and it's my first semester in the university. Today I am here to share my views on some important key factors of criminology week 5. So I'll start with the demonic era. Demonic era was era when people think that crime was caused by demons and some evil spirits and they burn people alive who do crime. The second definition is rational choice theory. Rational choice theory means that when people think about advantages or disadvantages of doing something, like if someone is committing a crime, he will think that the crime is bigger than the punishment or not. The third theory is difference between classical and neoclassical criminology. The classical theory explains the classical school of law punishment as a mean to end and a regret regarding criminal behavior. For example, if someone think to do crime but do not because of risk, neoclassical criminology idea the neoclassical criminology removed classical criminology idea on free will and rational choice but adds norms like age, gender, mental health, and social environment. For an example, if two person commits a crime of stealing from a store, one is an adult and other is a teenager, the adult will get a harsh punishment. On the other hand, the teenager will sent to rehabilitation center with the lesser lesser sentence. Biological approach means when people think that some people were born criminal due to their psychological distinct from non-criminals. Now I'd like to talk about structured functionalism. Crime is a natural part of society. Crime helps a society to define moral values and promote them. Necessary social changes by highlighting where the law may need to be changed. For an example, when India was under the rule of Britishers, freedom fighter was fighting to make the country free. It was against the law according to the Britishers, but not according to the common people. Now I'd like to talk about certain theory. People may turn to criminal when they are unable to meet the society goods like victory or they didn't gain success, so they choose the wrong path to gain wealth and to make their name in the society. Now I'd like to talk about social disorganization theory. Some communities with a high population and diverse population with a poverty where poverty is high, they may commit crime due to lack of social bond. For an example, when people live in a metro city where they don't have social bond with the others like their neighbors, they feel some mental issues and will commit crime. Social control theory. When individual live in a good society and have very good bond with each other, but when they will think about to do some crime, they will do not do any type of crime because they did not want to lose their bond with each other. For informal and formal. Formal occurs through the invention of society leaders who are preserved to have an authority, for example, police officer. Informal occurs the action of parents which is observed by the children. Social learning theory means that social behaviors learned by observing each other. For an example, child learn their basic social behavior by observing their parents. If parents behave well in front of their child, the child will be a very good person in the future. Labeling theory means that when a certain group of people blame an individual that he or she is committing the crime, after some time they'll start committing crime. For an example, if someone is not a thief but get the tag of thief by the society, by the time passes, he or she will commit crime because of mental pressure on them. The differential associate theory. When individuals learn criminal behavior from people around them is called differential associate theory. For an example, child learn criminal behavior from their friends, criminal friends. Critical criminology theory examines the critical criminology means examines the power of structure in crime. For an example, how poverty influences criminality. Now I'd like to talk about conflict theory. The unequal distribution of wealth and power in society contribute to crime. For an example, rich people get benefit more than the lower people, uh, which may result in the crime to make criminals from the lower people. Now I like to talk about critical race theory, which structures racial discrimination from the justice. For example, high arrest rates for minority people because the higher class people think that they are the only criminal in the society. Now I like to talk about left realism. Left realism means when poor class or working class people do crime due to unfair system of law pushes them to do crime. For example, police addresses the lower class neighborhood as criminals. The crime of powerful. Any criminal offense which is done by a wealthy people or people who have high status and hold trusts. For an example, some politicians, officials take bribe from others to do some work and involved in some other criminal activities. Political crimes. Political crime is a crime done which harms the state or any state government. For an example, if anyone harm or attack a politician will be considered as political crime. Now I'd like to talk about state organized crime. Crime which is done by the politician or the government officials in a way of their position and state represents. For example, when politicians are involved in drug dealing, terrorism or prostitution. Now I'd like to talk about victim prescription theory, which examines the role of victim in crime. For example, a crime unintentionally provoking an assault. Now I'd like to talk about routine activity theory. The risk of crime increases when you are in the same plate at the same time when a person mentioned to commit a crime along with the persons who are valid targets but an absence of guardians. For an example, an owner shop might get robbed by another person targeted to rob the shop. Deviant place theory explains that when people are more likely to become a victim of crime when they exposed to danger. For an example, when people live in an area where crime rate is very high, they are more likely to be susceptible of victimization. Lifestyle exposure theory. Lifestyle exposure theory, man. A daily routine of person and choices influence the risk of becoming a victim. For an example, passing through a high criminal area with having an expensive thing in hand may, may cause you to become a victim. Critical victimology means that relates to incidents of victimization with social group in society seek to point out how social group are more likely to be a risk. For an example of burglary and theft, now I'd like to talk about crime prevention through environmental design. A crime prevention theory is a method of effective use of build to effective use to build an environment which, when applied, reduces the crime. Now I like to talk about criminology. Criminology is the study of crime and criminal behavior informed by the principle of psychology. For example, crime prevention. What is crime? Crime is causing a physical or psychological harm or damage to the property is crime. For example, violence, drug dealing, prostitution. What is deviance? The behavior which is socially rejected by the society. It can be a crime or not a crime on the basis of society. For an example, a girl wears a very short dress will be considered as an social disobey by some a old age people, but it's not a crime. Conformity means that when people follow the rules of society, not violating any law. For an example, stopping at red light. Now I'd like to talk about formal social controls. Means that rules which are implemented by an institute. For an example, police arresting a suspect. Informal society controls. Social cues that influence behavior. For an example, getting disapproval from peer by living. Legislative authority, a group who have power of lawmaking. For an example, Parliament passing a law against theft. Judicial authorities conveys in impropriety and enforcing law. For an example, judge sentence a criminal for committing a crime. Executive authorities, the, the authorities which implement law in the society. For an example, police enforcing traffic regulations. Thank you all. This was all which I have understood from all the key points. Thank you for watching my video. Have a nice day.